Annabelle Miller.
And my name's Olivia Wood. The first thing we want to ask you guys to do today is to close your eyes for a moment. I want you to picture that you've just come home from a long day of work. You open your front door, you walk in, you feel safe, you feel comfortable. It's your home. All right. You leave, you come back again, it's the next day after a long day of work. You walk in, you open your door, and your entire house has flooded. All of your items are floating around your house. You're like, where did this water come from? I don't know. All right, you can open your eyes now. Okay, you have two options here, right? You can, one, find a mop and start cleaning up right now. Or two, you can find the source of the water, shut it off, and then start cleaning up. Would you guys, number one, raise your hand if you would, number one, grab a mop and start cleaning right then? As I suspected. Raise your hand if you would, number two, find the source of the water, shut it off, and then start cleaning up. Also, as I suspected. All right, keep your answer in mind. We'll come back to that in just a little bit.
So to start out, why are teachers leaving? Quitting is the #1 driver of the teacher shortage in America, and we identified the 3 big reasons that teachers are quitting in our research. 1 is high expectations and rapid burnout. 2 is lack of support from administrators in school environment. And 3, compensation. And these are all working together to drive teachers outside of the classroom. So we wanted to gain perspective from current in-service teachers to see if their experiences match with our research, and it did. So what's not working? The current plans that school districts have in place to combat the teacher shortage is hiring underqualified or emergency licensed teachers, and students' academics are suffering as a result. They're also using incentives to get teachers to stay, which is not sustainable as a long-term plan. And they're also using social media recruitment as a means it doesn't work because it doesn't pull from a pool of quality educators that you're missing out who don't use social media as a means to find a job. So here's some stats that we found in our research that shows the amount of vacant positions in Indiana and also the amount of teaching jobs that are filled by unlicensed teacher. And that's even worse in districts that are in low-income areas. So this graph I wanted you to see, it kind of shows that this problem is not invisible. People outside the realm of education are noticing the discrepancies, and they don't want their child to go and pursue a career in education because of all the negative aspects. And even college students who are in the teacher prep education courses are seeing those negative aspects. The number compared to the people who are enrolled versus the people that are completing the actual degree is a large difference.
Which brings us to our Reignite initiative. I want you guys to recall the answer that you gave earlier. Almost all of you said that you would find the source of the water, shut it off, and then find a solution and start cleaning up. The same logic applies to the teacher shortage. You can't recruit on top of a broken system to ever fill those vacancies because people will just keep quitting underneath. So we came up with the Reignite initiative to address that. So the Reignite initiative is a 2-phase program. Our first phase focuses on reevaluating the districts to reform and retain, and then phase 2 focuses on recruiting to recover. Phase 1 really focuses on the big 3 that we mentioned earlier, and it calls for admin and school district leaders to take a look at where the problems are within their own district. So it can be really personalized wherever this is being implemented. Phase 2 has 3 main aspects that you guys will see in just a moment. So, as you probably remember from our case report, this is what phase 1 looks like in our district. We really were pushing our administrators to kind of question these things, which were questions that teachers were posing and pushing up. And then the solutions for our hypothetical district look like this. This same chart can be found in our case report. What we really found was that reform was the only way forward. It was the only way to keep the teachers we had and to gain additional teachers to recruit. All right, so phase 2, recruiting to recover. Our first part of that is sending teachers into college classrooms. So we are sending them in to do discussions, panels, and seminars with students about what they want to learn, about what is important for them to know about being a classroom teacher that you can't learn from a textbook. Because there's a big discrepancy between what we're learning and then actually going into the classroom. It's kind of called praxis shock. It's very interesting. So we're going to be sending them in bi-weekly to different classrooms. We're getting 5 teacher volunteers from a mix of K through 12 in a variety of different subjects, and they will be compensated for their time at a rate of $175 an hour for the 85-minute session. Phase 2 looks like partnering with colleges for student placements. So we really wanted to focus on an open door policy for everyone in the education cohort. So our district is pairing with the local school of education to get all of the students in that cohort into our schools for all 4 years that they are doing teaching, or like student teaching placements and early field experiences. That allows us to get to know them for all 4 years that they're in college and preparing. It gives them hands-on training, and it gives them exposure to our district and our district policies. A big draw at the end of that program is that we would give our teachers that decide to sign on with us an automatic pay schedule promotion from first year teaching as if they had 1 year of experience after that, and Bella's going to share a little bit about that with you.
So essentially, the students that choose to work in our district are going to come into their first year of teaching with second year pay. So you can see how much of a difference that makes between level A and B. And also, if they don't choose to sign with our district after graduation, there's no losses on either side. We just know we have made them confident and successful teachers wherever they go. So this is just a visual breakdown of our funding plan. More can be seen in this in our executive summary.
So a few more specifics that we wanted to delve into. A big equity issue within our own School of Education right now is actually transportation to and from student teaching sources. So we thought about partnering with the Bloomington Transit Corporation and getting a bus route that runs from the School of Education to all of our schools in the district, so that students can get a ride to the School of Education and then have automatic transportation to get wherever they need to go. The other thing that we wanted to focus on was some of the surprise fees that can come from being in a teacher education program, one of those being background checks, so we set aside some money to pay for some of those for our students. Additionally, we wanted to focus on burnout, and one of the things we found was a trauma stewardship book that kind of helps teachers figure out how to take care of themselves while they take care of hundreds of students every day. We're going to do 3 workshops with that book where we have catering provided, because what's a good workshop without some food? So another major part of our initiative is sustainability of our program. One of the big things that we wanted to focus on was how it would be implemented in other districts across Indiana and across the United States. So one of the things that we were really focusing on is reform. Reform is free, and an administrator that listens to their teachers is worth their weight in gold, so that can happen anywhere. Additionally, most communities have a college near them, so teachers could Zoom into classrooms if it were a little further away, and a bigger chunk of the funding could be put into transportation to deal with some of those distance issues. Nothing will change if we don't make something happen. The crisis will only worsen.
Teachers are not wanting to leave their jobs. They just need reform.
They're pleading for it, in fact. Will you be the first to listen? What questions do you guys have for us?
I have a question. So you did a great job in analogizing the shutting off the spigot of the water. So with the change in the law, maybe somewhere around 10 years ago, it's become a competitive market with schools competing with teachers. So how do you prevent that with your idea and your solution that you came up with from the competition between districts fighting over teachers based on salary, making $2,000 over here in this district compared to the district that they're already in?
Right, so that was one of the big things that we were concerned about with recruitment. We know that pulling teachers from other districts into our district is not a solution. That's just making a larger problem in more school systems. So with our program, we're pulling teachers from the pool of teachers that are about to graduate. So they're new teachers. They're looking for a job in the first place, so we're not pulling people from anywhere else. And we want to implement this in other places so that they can also get that pay bump where they are too. There's no real way to fix the actual compensation problem without complete reform. So this was our fix for now for that. Yes?
I apologize, you might have mentioned this in your presentation, but do you have a timeline for how long phase 1 would take to get the data to identify the problem within the school district?
Right, so that really depends on what the problems are within that school district. It's very personalized. So for us, I think we looked at about a 2-year timeline for our district. We identified the problems, we identified the solutions, and we put those into place before we ever started the second phase with reform, because as I said, you can't recruit people into a broken system where it's just going to keep throwing people out. Any other questions?
What did you think about, in the case study, the problem statement about qualified instructors in science and math being a real issue? Did you think about that at all, or how that would figure into your plan?
Did you take that one?
That's just a whole thing with hiring under licensed people, so trying to, by pulling from the colleges, we're hoping that they're more qualified and their education program is giving them the steps to become successful like STEM career teachers. And then, yeah.
With that too, it's difficult to recruit people into teaching and into specific, like English, math, different categories there, just because of what people are interested in. And also, unfortunately, at this point, STEM people make much more in a research field than they ever would in education.
Which
So
is why that's in the problem statement.
Exactly.
How do we help fix that problem?
Right.
This is what I'm wondering.
So with STEM educators specifically, I think there are ways that they could be pulled in, like research promises through our district that they can get credit for at their local university, or even providing some bonuses to them to try and get them to our district. It's just difficult, especially when there's like 15 people in the English cohort, 15 in social studies, and like 3 or 4 or 5 in the social sciences. So it's a problem that is ongoing, unfortunately, and something that we would try to look at incentivizing in the future. Any other questions for us?
Very thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening and being committed to change and finding a solution. So,
Thank you.
thank you.